That's good. Took the whole day off. Is it any better?
Much better.
I'm glad somebody to support me.
Right?
That's good.
Yeah.
I remember this about me. Yeah. Yeah, and you stood up to hug me. Thank you. Yeah. Well, not of course if you're.
Yeah, no, I'm okay. I'm much better.
Sorry.
Excuse me.
We have been talking for so long.
Texts from people saying different.
Oh, don't. Yeah, do it more often.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You too. We do it all the time.
Oh, okay. Should I check for those things?
Every Tuesday, I think.
Or maybe I can just do it on my phone, I guess. Oh, okay. Awesome. You will. Thank you.
Yes. You should come.
I'm sorry, there's
Tuesdays is
Where Fraser Heights?
What is Fraser Heights?
160th and
I should have just turned to you.
yes. Yeah, right at 160th and Highway 1.
Because I can totally
It's working.
I'm over 35.
Unfortunately, yes.
Don't worry. Because we didn't work the same campus. You were in US. I'm still very good. This is where I wanted to wear it. I'm gonna try not to.
You never know.
Everybody's going.
Yeah, but I didn't want
I want to thank you all for coming this afternoon. And you think of all the people that that Sharon's known over her life. Thousands. Different countries, different part of this country, different organizations, offices. The list of her accomplishments, which Glenn gave me, is unbelievable. And yet, it's just a few gathered here that are saying goodbye in this formal setting, although, of course, those that are joining us live stream are many. It's never the amount of people that gather that determines greatness. It's that we gather. 3 people, 300. In 21 years of officiating, I've had 3 services in which no one came. But office staff came. Directors, not fully engaged in work, came. And we celebrated, because every life needs to be celebrated. Now, in this case, I know that the videographer has kind of shot a number of these photos. Blair and vibrant, generous. Mentor is a word that's been used by many. But she was sister to not only cousin, many things, co-worker. And so we come today just to recognize her goodness. Thank you for coming to support family this day. I'm going to open with a simple word of prayer. If I had a coffee cup, I'd put it on one of her many coasters. And she collected those. Let's pray. Father, thank you for the day you've given us, the opportunity to gather, and to just say thank you for her skills, her goodness, all that she was and always will be remembered for. Be with her on the other side, and be with us, those grieving this day, and allow every photo that we see and every word that has been written, just give her honor. Bless her this day, we pray. Amen. I don't know in the last, let's say, 5 years that I've met anyone as capable. $1 million US she was in charge of in terms of budget at one point in time. But it's not how much money you are able to allocate. It's how many hearts have you touched? How many people have you impacted? What have you seen? What have you been able to reshare? Those moments where maybe in coolness of the breeze, you know your heart and soul's in a good place. With this as maybe a last caption, come see me, come visit. Would love to have you. That was her. Many opportunities for relationship along the way. Bruce is mentioned in some of these write-ups. There were others, but independently strong and absolutely capable throughout her whole life, always capable. She passes doing what she loves the most, and that's travel. And so we have this opportunity here in Canada just to say thank you to her. Many people have written many things. Glenn and Judy have allowed me to just kind of, carve it down to something a little more easily to understand, as there is quite a bit of information, and we do wish to, in the best way possible, represent everyone that has sent emails and texts, and thanks to everyone that did. Thank you for adding to the dossier of her goodness, personally. 3 that I picked out, just kind of in the beginning. Robin said, what a bright spirit. That was a part of what she wrote. Because most wrote the exact same thing. Then there's these little, I call them jump outs. So Robin, what a bright spirit. Yasmin, Sharon was an amazing person with so much strength and courage. Nikki writes, I'm devastated and will miss not having her in my life, but she will always be one of my fondest memories. I like that. Now, there were names and then excerpts and names, so hopefully I'm getting them right, but just understand that there was many things written. And I really liked, she will always be one of my fondest memories. Her famous saying, of course, don't ask God or the universe for anything you aren't willing to accept or embrace. So true. And even in her last moments, a piece of poetry called Choices says, opportunities and obstacles are one and the same. Presented from above, each choice makes all the difference. The last stanza says, and possibly the choice Sharon made to walk towards the light, hearing voices of family, was no different than the perfect moment to ascend towards the light. Her passing unexpected, a tremendous loss to those that knew her best. And yet that was sort of her goal in life, to see a bed and breakfast in Costa Rica. She lived at St. Kitts, amazing. But other places within Canada, knew more people probably than anyone I've represented in the last 20 years. Like, she knew thousands of people. And not just knew them by name, but knew them. And I want to read from family first and foremost, what has been prepared. To lose a sibling, terribly difficult. And so, Glenn, I want to thank you. What Blair has written. There is neighbors and friends that have written to Glenn in terms of encouragement, but also in terms of information. Blair writes this, and Blair, if you're watching, hello. Sharon, I wish we had gone to that hotel in southern France like we talked about. Much more. I can still hear you and see you when you were alone, that you're happy. That's Blair. Simple message from brother Blair. Glenn writes this. Sharon was my big sister. And I want to thank everyone for their kind words and support, and to thank you for being here, either in person or online, to celebrate the life of a person who was very special and touched us all. I've received messages from around the globe and have come to realize just how special she was to a lot of people. To me, Sharon was a role model. She was a go-getter, worked from a very young age. She babysat, worked at Eaton's, the Army Navy, before moving on to Revenue Canada. Being independent was important to her, and having a full-time job with the federal government gave her that independence. She moved out of the family home while she was still in her teens. I believe Glenn says I was about 7 or 8 to live in the hippie house on Franklin Street. Sounds like a reality show, you know. Yeah, it probably was, yeah. Opportunity knocked and off Sharon went to Newfoundland, then to Ottawa, Thunder Bay, Calgary. Friends learned quickly not to write Sharon's address in ink, for they would have to write it many times in their address books. I always looked forward to Sharon's visits in Vancouver when I was growing up. I got to return the favor, staying with her for a month in Ottawa, where I fondly remember us celebrating my 19th birthday at a pub. In later years, it was a treat to have her close by in BC, whether it was for a month, a year, or 2. And in the past few years, Sharon and I kept closer touch, saw each other more, and I traveled vicariously through her stories and traveled pictures. She never stood still, seldom visited someplace twice. One of the best times I ever had with Sharon was when Judy and I traveled to Ontario, and Sharon traveled north to Torrey Hill to camp with us on Judy's family farm. We explored the countryside, went swimming in Wildermere Lake, geocached in Wilberforce, enjoyed ice cream at Agnew's General Store, spent a small fortune at the maple syrup farm, stayed up late by the campfire, admiring the stars, and after we left the farm, Sharon got to play tour guide, showing us the sights around Toronto. In the evening, we squeezed into her Toronto apartment with Eddie, our Cocker Spaniel, in tow, then set off for Niagara Falls the next day. The falls were simply amazing, just like Sharon was to me. Thanks, Glenn. Well done. I wonder how many people vicariously, as you did, traveled through her stories. Yeah. I've already shared a few of the excerpts from members of probably her work entourage. Carol writes, I met Sharon in '87 in Kingston, Ontario. We spent a lot of time together in Ottawa. Sharon has always been a wonderful and dear friend from those early days and throughout all the years. We kept in touch when she moved to Thunder Bay, and I visited her in Costa Rica, where she had created the Wild Rose B&B with her husband Bruce. We laughed a lot, and for that I'm grateful. We shared a love for travel, exploring new places and cultures, kept in touch over the years, and always looked forward to scheduled calls and pictures I received along the way. When Sharon returned from China to Canada, she came straight to Toronto to begin treatment for leukemia, and she remained positive and a determined soul who continued to inspire us with her faith and amazing outlook. I was honored to support Sharon during the bone marrow transplant experience in Buffalo. Day by day, she gained her strength back, and despite many seeming nonstop challenges, pulled herself up, came back to Toronto to continue her healing journey. In the last few years, she got back into her travels, had some wonderful trips to England and Europe, and even an African safari. On her South African trip last fall, we enjoyed lunch together, had a really good visit just days before she left for Croatia. And Sharon has always been a kindred spirit to me. Our conversations often included topics I rarely discuss with others. She had an uplifting but very practical spiritual perspective which stays with me always, and I will forever be grateful to Sharon for her kindness and devotion and very special friendship. Rest in eternal peace with much love always, Carol Little. Yeah. That sort of sums up what I've been able to read and take excerpts from in terms of friends. I've pared Joanne's down severely, sorry, but in light of what Carol said, a lot of this is exactly the same. Joanne says, Sharon and I met when I was at a crossroads in my life. I had just ended a job, had to do a bunch of retraining, and I was standing in this open path, a brand new experience. And then I was being interviewed by Sharon for a job that I had applied for. And the strange thing about it was that I've never had an interview for a job as a lunch date. And this was a lunch date. Sharon accepted me from that moment forward for who I was. And that was not a small thing. She always tried to remind me how special I was and how loved I was and how blessed I was without ever really preaching. And that made me feel good despite the fact that she was my boss. She encouraged me to see more for myself. She always saw the best in me. And her wisdom was very evident. It just came out of her. And I remember her very solid, stable, calming, and nurturing voice. When we did talk, when we did get together, even though time had passed between conversations, it never felt like it had. And I believe what she had in her was very rare. And it's very rare to have someone like Sharon in your life where she becomes so much more than a friend. So Sharon, wherever you are, whatever you're looking at us from, thank you for being proud, number one, of me, and for being such a good friend. I have come through a journey and am beginning to be proud of myself, and you had a lot to do with that. Thank you so much. Love, Joanna. There's a journey that she took. Joanna took. And that journey had, of course, Sharon with her the whole way. To be able to believe in yourself, even though you don't, but somebody else does. It's amazing. So thank you, Joanna. I'm going to just hold this up and kind of hold it to the camera. So, this. This is just a resume. Man, if you could have a resume like hers. I'm just randomly choosing some here. Participated on 2 task forces to modernize the Canadian tax system, including change in service standards, computerization, and organizational structure. And that's like way down here. There's much more. Cool, influential, intelligent. There is, in a book called 1919, 6 Months That Changed the World, it's about the Treaty of Versailles. In that book, there is a cartographer, map maker. His quote is, "My hand trembles at the pencil tip," is what a single line will do on a map that will change the lives of millions. That quote has always stuck with me because there are people like Sharon modernizing a whole system. It'll affect people. She has the wisdom, the responsibility, the capability to do it right. And that's just, so many times she was called on to do what was best for many. Nobody will know that she was a part of changes to a tax system. No one will ever thank her. But I bet there are thousands, if not tens of thousands, that have been positively affected by what she did. It's amazing. Just a few more. A neighbor. Dear Glenn and Judy, we received your email that Sharon passed, and we are saddened to learn this news. We first met Sharon in 2005 when we arrived at St. Kitts to work at, is it the vet school? Okay, looks like an N, but I couldn't think it was a net school. You make nets, you learn how at vet school. Sharon was always a friend, writing us and making us feel welcomed on St. Kitts. After leaving St. Kitts in 2013, we stayed in contact with Sharon, sharing our mutual travels and activities. Sharon will be missed. We send our prayers to you and your family and friends in the loss of Sharon. That's Tammy and Eddie. 2 girls, Chrissy and Valencia, very important to Sharon. Sharon, she did not have any biological children, but she had 2 girls she called her own, Chrissy and Valencia. She was an amazing mom, and when it came to taking us to her special beach, getting our ears pierced, even cooking her awesome chili, when it came to discipline, she was stern on us. We were to be held responsible for our actions. She gave us very sound advice, made sure we made the best choices in life, and she was very happy with the women we have become. And from time to time, you can hear her voice say, "You got this," or "It'll work out." Talk to God. He listens. She was a go-getter. She loved traveling. We were hoping to see her as promised when she built up a little more strength. She was loved and will always have a special place in our hearts. She leaves us behind to carry on her legacy, and we feel we have lost our mummy and motivator. We are forever grateful. We love and miss you so much already, but our hearts are full as we say, "Rest easy, Mummy. We love you." Chrissy, Valencia, and the grandkids. 2 others. Sharon, you have been a rose in my life for which I am truly grateful. We met in St. Kitts at the Children's Home in 1995 and immediately bonded. Your greatest message to me throughout our friendship was never ask for anything from God or the universe if I was not ready to accept the outcome. Thank you for our friendship. Travel well. Rest in peace, Michelle. And then Justine wrote, I met Sharon in 2015 when she holidayed in Tuscany. I have such clear memories of us drinking orange ones at the bar in Piazza. So fun-loving and a great company. We became friends on Facebook. She shared her battle, her illness with us, the joys along the path, as well as the suffering. I love to see her photos from her travels. What a girl, what a lady. Sharon was always a bright star. I'm sure she's twinkling at us all somewhere in that special Sharon way. I send my deepest condolences to you, Glenn, and all of Sharon's family. She was my mentor, writes Justine, and I will truly miss her. I'm going to save Sheila's for after the DVD. It's a good way to kind of conclude what we're doing here. Stephen, if you would, we're going to watch some photos that correspond to her good life, knowing that we'll probably be walking with her on certain continents. Paulie, can you come immediately following then, and I'll just do cleanup? Thank you, Paul. Okay. It's nice. How many photos could you have put on a DVD? Thousands? Photos? Yeah. 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 It's amazing, eh? 1/24th of a second. That's what a photo is. So every 24 of those was a second of her life. And yet, the ones that we saw her grow. We saw her in different places with different people. And yet, but a fraction really of who she was. And so we carry most of the photographs of her in our soul. Pasted up against the wall of the soul is where these people live. And it's a good thing that we don't lose them entirely when they pass. That we don't have hard drives that are then wiped of the individual. That would be cruel. Instead, what we have is memories. And again, what I'll read at the end is just, from Sheila. It was nice. Paula, you have something you wish to read, so. Yeah.
My dear friend Sharon is a light bearer who authentically and generously shares that light and love freely.
Paula, can you just maybe, for those online?
Oh, yes, sorry. Can we start again?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. My dear friend Sharon is a light bearer who authentically and generously shares that light and love freely. Those of us here now feel it. In her seemingly fearless way, she supported each of us in challenging times with wise words, attentive silence, or generous acts of kindness. I am grateful to have the privilege of her light in my life. She is an optimistic realist. In thinking about what I wanted to say today to honor her, she reminded me of the many times we purposefully turned challenging times into fun. And while most of the words today have been about her accomplishments and her skill and her travels, most of these words are going to be about fun. Just saying.
Yes, they have.
Yeah. From those difficult days, okay, she is an optimistic realist. In thinking about what I wanted to say to honor her today, she reminded me of the many times we purposefully turned challenges into fun, or at least not dark. From those difficult days at the transplant hospital when I was with her in Buffalo, trying to get her fever to stay down, we watched all the episodes of Frank and Gracie. It was so awesome. We laughed so loud and long, the nurses would come down the hall to see what the party was about. We were always making fun times. Music from the Sarasota, Florida free venue scene to Carole King musical Beautiful in Vancouver. The Kensington Market with Carol and the pub beers with Vijay in Toronto. Wine tasting from Penticton to Paris. Boat excursions on the Rhine and Lake Muskoka. I probably said that wrong. The fun shared birthdays with so many of you. Costuming up for Halloween train in Stanley Park. Laughing and getting lost on road trips. Hundreds of Zoom calls from all over the world because I couldn't go on vacation with her always, I'd call her and say, okay, show me your Airbnb, and she'd walk around with me. It was good. I went a lot of places like that. And castle celebrations complete with prince and a dragon. These are the kinds of things I already miss sharing, but the feeling of these experiences is ever present. That is her light. I often told Sharon what an inspiration she was to me. As an optimistic realist, she always rose, get what I did there, to the occasion, no matter how dire in her Sharon way. She lived genuine generosity and gratitude. Thank you for riding through the rough waters of change with me. Thank you for waiting for me. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for taking the time to help me find my way. Thank you for standing beside me. Thank you for making the world a better place. I am grateful to have the privilege of you in my life. Next. Oh, I won't make you get up.
Just gonna stand up actually. Hi all. So we meet people for a reason as planned by universe, and we connect or disconnect as planned by universe. My name is Doreen, and no, I'm not adoptive daughter of Sharon, but she was my adopted mom. I met Sharon in 2012 when she came in as a director of Sprout Show College in Westminster. My first expression about Sharon was coconuts, tough from outside, yet pure, white, and soft from inside. And just like that, she became my Canadian mom and kept loving me, my husband, and my kids. Sharon never missed sending cards on our birthdays or any other festive filled with love and care. Who knew that her last words I heard before her trip to Croatia will be her last word for me in real life? Sharon, who struggled her own battle, well, I should not say struggle, but a fight. She was a fighter, and she won. She supported me all the way, and so many of you, by giving her pure love and positive energy and guidance, always showing the bright side of life. Sharon, a person full of joy, confidence, gratitude, kindness, success, and inspiration for us all, and courageous, and the list can go on for her. We will all carry your legacy, Sharon. The power of love that you spread will always stay. You are stay from sight, but always in our hearts and mind. Love you always as you last for me, where love you always. From Doreen, Sean, Malika, and Samuel. Thank you.
Thank you. The last thing we will do is we will raise a toast to Sharon Rose Stapleton. And in that toast, it will not be the end of us speaking of her, but the beginnings of us speaking her in a new way. Not with us, but yet so much in us and with us. Sheila writes, I remembered that Sharon was the youngest director at the Canada Revenue Agency, and I respected her greatly. Her passing is a great loss to you and those gathered, her family, to friends, to all of us. She was doing so well in her recovery of cancer, and it seemed that nothing could keep her down. I'm so happy that she was able to do all the traveling in the past few years. I regret not having been able to see her during this time, but I did meet both she and Bruce in the mid-'80s, and Sharon was a force to be reckoned with. Her drive and determination were more than admirable. Yeah, I will be remembered. Not something that she would say to you, because what she says to you is, I love you. But she would always be remembered. We have come today to remember Sharon Rose Stapleton, her beginnings, journey, story, travels. We came today to honor her roles in other people's lives, mentor being one of the most admirable. And then we just celebrate her uniqueness. All that she's seen, done, experienced, those she's been with, jobs so capable, work so capable that she finished. And even the way she passes, doing what she loves, admirable. So if you would, Judy, maybe grab a couple of glasses. Paul, if you can also help. We'll pass them out and then we'll have a toast. I get to put mine on a coaster. To Sharon. May she always live in the hearts, the minds of those that knew her best, and until you see her again, may God hold you in the hollow of his hand. This concludes the formal portion of our service. There's an opportunity to see the photos. Stephen, maybe we'll play the DVD and loop it. If you want to, is this true? If you want to take a coaster home, you can, or are these particularly important to you?
Well, we will take them eventually.
Yeah. Okay, so just check them out. Many different coasters, many different styles, and that was their thing. Different places, yeah. But thanks for coming and representing, and to those joining us live stream, thank you for using this incredible technology that is ours to be a part of that which is a celebration of life at a great time of loss. God bless.
trees with the face on it. That's on my daily walk. Oh, is it? Yeah, I call it leaf turtle.
So we have
Yeah.
something
I thought that was where you guys were.
about 350.
Oh.
Was it? I thought it was Sarasota. Because she bought that at Sarasota and some flowers.
Oh, okay.
Because she and I have similar pictures because we both used to have the same kind of deal. There we are.
Trying to pick pictures that had some people in you and all the stuff I did in the word and stuff.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
That's Carol. This is in Buffalo. Oh, I know this because she was like a minion. And that means that she is in active treatment. That's what her son is doing. And she brought her some glasses from her. Yeah.
Like my brother.
And it is. Brand new.
That's when again, you shot us. That's what this
It's
is about.
about 30,000.
Yeah. Not very, not that far. Because I was here and I think about 3 or 4 years, maybe not quite that long probably. No, it was
So I never bought
Canada,
it.
Ottawa,
I
and
was
Calgary.
buying 3 or 4 years ago.
Cost 3,000.
You know, the depreciation that was on the road.
Yeah.
But there's no way. I can look in at that.
I couldn't keep up.
No.
I could not keep up.
There's one in
What is that?
The two
That's
of you
an
in
extra.
here, having fun.
Yeah, oh gosh, every time. That's great.
35,000.
That was Aisha, who was my roommate here for a little bit. She's from Turkey. And
That's
she had moved
been
back to
seen.
Europe.
It's still
And she came to see us when we were in Amsterdam, so she was there too. Green Ellen, you're a sight for sore eyes, you do.
There's always all the best with do you want things to show?
Yeah, we'll keep them.
So, you didn't say your names.
Oh. Man that shall go unnamed. Mystery man. And my name is Layton.
Leighton,
Yes.
you did a great job.
Thank you.
Yes, you did, staying in.
Yeah.
And,
That was a lot to go through. Yeah.
Yeah, there was more. I just, you know,
Yeah.
had to take some excerpts here and there, but
I was
what a,
late.
yeah, they're very accomplished woman. And a wonderful friend. Can be driven to work, right? Driven. But she had a real soft openness for a relationship.
so did you know her?
No.
Or you're just, this, so, very good, because how
Just
you
a
spoke,
natural ride.
I'm thinking, oh, he's met her somewhere along the line.
I don't believe so. Maybe Tim Hortons drove first and then no, my role is to listen. So I went and visited Glenn and Judy. I take copious amounts of notes. And then you just sit, you have to quiet your soul, and you sit and you just listen to what it's saying. And you read through the dossier that is hers and understand. I always film things in my head. So I'm filming, Redmond, Canada and that. I'm just thinking, how would that work? Wouldn't you feel some trepidation as you're making major changes? Probably. But there she is, right?
Oh, I don't know. If she did, it was well hidden.
Yeah.
Because she just seems so fearless, honestly. Almost always.
Something that I appreciate so much about funerals, and we're just saying,
Yeah.
is that we all are going to die. And you see this, and those things of Sharon that she brought to this world, some of us know her more, some of us know her less, but to be here and to hear those things, and then incorporate those things into our lives, those good things that, you know, we all want to be remembered well. And just as Sharon was a light, you know, let's take those things that she brought to the world and take them out and let her continue to live.
Yeah, that was her idea of her purpose here, was to and I believe that it came up through that.
And she had phenomenal sense of humor.
Yeah, almost nobody said something about the fun except me.
Way to go, Paula.
And I even brought props, but I probably won't props. I probably won't use it. You know what, I am gonna put, I brought props.
Yes.
You know, but okay, I am gonna pull this out, but I didn't bring rocks. I did bring these, and if anybody is gonna go to the restaurant, we can do that. This is a simple and easy thing that you can do for anyone. Just gather, and sometimes I get little handheld sizes, so you can put them in your pocket. I keep them in the door of my car, so I can give one to the barista, and they do a good job. So, and she did that for you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and me, and you.
I met her.
I know.
She threw mine at me though.
Probably deserved it.
She said, I think I hurt you. So, go forth and give somebody a rock that says you rock, and this will be I would give them out, but I didn't have any left because I was all around Vancouver with my Texas friends the last 3 days, and we gave a lot of them out. I didn't have time to give them away. Do your own rocks. Give them away at work, right? At lunch. Put one in your purse. Give it to the wait staff. I did that at Stanley Park Brewery on Saturday when we were there. And
Did you get an extra beer?
no, I got something better. Something much better than that. As I was walking out, the waiter was telling his colleagues about it, and they were going, "Oh man, I want one." I'm like, "Okay, you can give them one, but you got to make it yourself." That was even better than a beer.
Did you know what Alex Taylor came to me when you were talking? What came to me when you were talking?
When Donna was talking, when I was reading, yeah, what?
I believe that she was here to believe in others so they could believe in themselves.
That is, yes, yeah.